One young kid got up in assembly and said, "This is Talisha Johnson. She's the author of Snow Black for Southern Rastas and other short stories, and she's my Black History Month hero." That meant everything. Welcome back to Schoolgirl Online TV. My name is TC for those of you that don't know me, and today I'm going to be talking about how I self-published a book at the age of 16, and also for any aspiring writers out there, I'm also going to be sharing some tips with you on how you can go and do the same. So let's get into it. Oh God! So this is my book, Snow Black for Southern Rastas and Other Short Stories. I do apologise that this particular copy is so chaka. It's because I carry it around with me in my bag every day, secretly hoping that I will bump into Oprah. No, but seriously, you actually never know who you're going to meet. But anyway, it's a collection of 7 short stories ranging across different genres, from thriller to mystery to love and romance to war, etc, and even putting a quirky, funny twist on the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to having Snow Black and the Seven Rastas. It is a young adult fiction book, but it's generally been read by families, adults, and all different types of people, so I'm glad that it has that appeal. My passion for writing started from the age of 5 when my parents encouraged myself and my sisters to journal, so I've always had a passion for writing and always wanted to develop my writing skills. And I never forget, in the summer holidays, like, my parents, because they had to go to work, they would take me to my auntie's house. They would literally write a character, a few keywords, and they'd say, okay, write a story from this. And lo and behold, when they came back to collect me, I would literally, at the age of 3 or 4, would have written an A4 page of a story. And looking back now, I never realised what a big deal that was for a 3-year-old to be writing an A4 page of a fictional story. And then at the age of 11, I just had this burning desire to write a book. Like, literally, you know when a kid craves chocolate, like I was craving to write a book. And I read a lot of authors like Jacqueline Wilson, Mallory Blackman, Benjamin Zephaniah, and I felt really inspired that one day I can be like them. I can be someone who has my name published on my own book. I would say secondly as well that writing this book wasn't just about me. It was about inspiring my peers and inspiring the generation to come. I really wanted young people to realise that they also had the potential to succeed, and they could utilise whatever the skills that they had to maximise their potential to do that. And I really wanted to encourage other young writers out there that if they had the same burning desire as me to write a book, that it was very possible. I mean, me at 16, coming from a working class background, wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I wanted to show everyday normal people that, look, if you want to do something, anything is possible. And that was the dream behind the book, that actually young people could read it and walk away saying, well, if she can, me too. Now, I know I've mentioned that I wrote this book in less than a year, but it wasn't always smooth sailing. And one thing that I'm really grateful for is that my parents raised myself and my siblings with the uttermost self-confidence. But as you know, that sometimes when you send your child to school, that confidence can be knocked out of them, especially when they have a poor teacher. Now for me, my self-confidence was knocked at a very young age. I think I was about 8 when I was in primary school, and on parents' evening, there was a teacher, hey Mr. Halim, who told my mother that your daughter is going to make a very great cleaner one day. He did that. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a cleaner. Everyone's got to do their hustle, everyone's got to do a job, but that just wasn't for me. And to hear that was quite mortifying, because it does make you question, well, is that all I'm capable of achieving? But do you know what? Thankfully, my parents taught me that, you know what? People are gonna talk, people are gonna say nasty things about you and to you. It's not about what people call you, it's what you answer to. And I decided that I wasn't going to accept that kind of negativity in my life. But let me tell you something, people are going to talk about you until the day you die, so you may as well give them something to talk about. Oh God! Me being 16, I was very excited to share my dreams with people, and I was always one of those people that if people shared their dreams or ideas or visions with me, I was 100% that friend that would be like, go for it, you can do it, do you need any help? And I was quite naive, so I just naturally expected the same response to my things. But when I ended up sharing my dreams and visions with my friends, some of them laughed at me and told me that I couldn't do it, and were just saying really unkind things. But the funny thing is that those same people that laughed at me ended up coming to my book launch and buying one of my books. So it just goes to show that firstly, be very careful who you share your dreams with, because you got to protect your dreams at the end of the day. They're precious. And also be very careful of the company that you keep. You don't want people around you who are going to dampen your spirits and try and crush your spirit. You want people who are going to build you, motivate you, support you, and make you better, not bitter. There's a popular saying that goes, it takes a whole village to raise a child. Now, not in the literal sense, but when you have dreams and you have an ambition that you want to achieve, it takes a community or a select 2 or 3 people around you to help to nurture that vision and nurture that dream until it becomes a reality. Now for me, people that were really a key part of my success in making this particular dream a reality were my wonderful parents. Oh my gosh, I love them so much. I can honestly say that anything that I've ever wanted to achieve, they have always said, let's find a way to make it possible. And honestly, their support has just always made me believe that I can do anything. I said to my parents at 15, Mom, Dad, I really want to write a book. I don't know how to go about it or how to get it published, but I need your help. And do you know what my dad did? He went and cashed in his pension just so I could publish my book. Yes, he did that. Seriously, I have the utmost respect for my parents, and if anyone ever tries to tell me anything about them, I'll be like, shut your mouth. But seriously, I know that everyone is not as fortunate to be in my position where they can talk to their parents. However, I would encourage you, if you can get yourself around 2 to 3 key people in your family, friends or mentors, whoever it is, just people who can help bring out the best in you, then I would say that is very key to your success, is having the right team around you. I would also say that there was a very significant point in the process of writing this book where I wanted to give up, and it was right at the very end. Literally, it was the last story in the book, and I just got writer's block and I just couldn't think of what to write, and it was bugging me. I went to a youth conference at the time called Midnight Oil, and there was a bishop there called Bishop Wayne Malcolm, and he preached a really engaging sermon, and he said a line, and it was, your dream is someone else's deliverance. I caught it. When he said that line, it resonated with me so much, and as I said before, it really emphasised that this book is more than UTC. It's not about you at all. This is about the amount of young people it's going to help encourage, inspire. It's about how many lives it's really going to impact and change for the better. And that's the mentality that I've always gone about when it comes to approaching any work that I do. It's not about me. It's about someone else's life and the impact that's going to have on them. So when he said that line, I went home and something just clicked in me, and I was just able to write and write and write until the book was finally finished. It was a miracle, honestly. It was just a miracle. So after the book was completed, my parents decided to go with a publishing company in Redditch, who are not really worth mentioning because they're closed down now. But we didn't really have any knowledge of selling books, marketing books, any knowledge of publishing books or literary agents, anything like that. This was just literally done off our own knowledge. We literally would go around to book fairs, any events that would allow us to have a stall. We approached BBC WM local radio. Well, actually, we didn't even approach them, they approached us. Quite a few local newspapers, and including The Voice. They approached me, they wanted to do interviews because of my age. That played a very significant part in me being marketed, because it's easy for people to look at a 16-year-old and say, wow, you published a book, let's get you on the radio, or let's write a piece on you. So I ended up having a page 1 spread in The Voice, which was really cool. But literally, this was all self-marketing. My dad would literally rock up in shopping centres, pop his boot open and be selling books to parents and families walking by. Like literally, it was just the most shameless promotion ever between me and my family, and altogether we ended up selling 1,000 copies, which I would say is pretty good considering it was just us, like there was no one else. Looking back, it's actually quite mad to think that, you know, my parents drove all up and down the UK from London to Nottingham, Birmingham. They literally went everywhere just to try and support me. And off the back of that, I ended up having a book launch at my school. And it's quite emotional because I had all my teachers there talking about how proud they were of me. Even teachers that had left had come back. My school friends were there, family were there, friends were there to support. It was just nice, and it felt really official, like gosh, this is happening, I'm launching my book. And then after that, word just kind of spread like wildfire, because Birmingham really is a small place, like everyone knows everyone. And it was then that I got invited into schools. I started reading to reception classes and different primary school classes, and that was a lot of fun because they really enjoyed my readings. And I was actually recognised as a Black History Month hero at a Birmingham primary school, and that was a moment for me. And that's when I realised your dream is someone else's deliverance. For another young black child to get up in an assembly, you know, and all the other kids, they would say, you know, Martin Luther King is my Black History Month hero, Rosa Parks. But one young kid got up in assembly and said, "This is Talisha Johnson. She's the author of Snow Black for Southern Rastas and other short stories, and she's my Black History Month hero." That meant everything. God really did open the door for me, because I was even invited to different corporate events to be the voice of young people. I was invited to sit on panels. I was invited to be a public speaker at different conferences, and I really started to become a name in Birmingham and someone who people would call on to do different events. And it was really quite an exciting time for me in my life, that at 16 you could be so significant in your city. After writing this book, I would say that I felt very fulfilled that I had achieved one of my dreams. I also realised that with persistence, anything is achievable. And I also do believe that when you have achieved something, it's important to then go and pass on any skills or tips that you've learned along the way, so that others can also go on to achieve great things. So I'd say that my top tips on publishing would be, number one, to find a literary agent. A good place to start is the Writers and Artists Yearbook. I think it ranges from about £14 to £17, but it's a good investment, especially if it's for yourself. It's important to invest in yourself if you want to take this seriously. Secondly, I would say identify your USP, which is your unique selling point. As I said before, being 16 was an advantage for me, and it was a very key thing in me being able to market myself. But really sit down and have a think about what makes you unique and what can be your unique selling point when selling your work. Thirdly, I would say explore every possible avenue to getting your book read and sold by as many people as possible. There's nothing wrong with putting good work out there and wanting to be paid for it and wanting people to see it. A good place to start is simply doing your research on Google. It's a free engine to use. There's no excuse. The more time you put into investing into your work productively is the more benefits you will reap out of it. My top tips on actually writing a book is to, number one, write about something that you're passionate about. Snow Black and the Southern Rastas is a fictional book because I'm passionate about writing fiction, and it's something that comes very naturally to me. As I said before, I've been writing fiction stories since the age of 4, and actually all the stories in the book are stories that I'd been given homework to do and come up and create, or there'd been assignments that I'd been asked to do in class. I just literally took them, extended them and made them into a book. It was as simple as that. So yeah, I'd say just write whatever comes naturally to you. Secondly, I would say go at your own natural pace. It's not a race, there's no competition, and you want to make sure that when you publish a book, you're putting your best work out there. And try not to get too caught up in the end result. It doesn't matter if you write 100 books or you write one really good book. There are plenty of authors who only write one book. Like Margaret Mitchell, she's the famous author behind Gone with the Wind. It was the only book she ever wrote, and still today it remains one of the best-selling books of all time. So just go at your own pace and take your time. Thirdly, I would say make a habit of writing every single day, whether that's journaling, writing notes in your phones, writing down your everyday thoughts, songs, poems, just whatever inspires you, because at the end of the day, practice makes perfect. I'll never forget my mum saying to me that if you write in your journal every single day, at the end of the year, you've got 365 pages and that's a book. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for taking the time out to listen to my story and how I self-published a book at 16. If you like this video, please give it a massive thumbs up. Also, you know I love to talk, so please comment below if you've got anything to share, or feel free to get in contact with me directly if you have any more questions that you'd like to ask. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please reevaluate your life. You know I'm playing! And also, if you'd like to see more videos like this, please let me know what topics or any other kinds of subjects that you want me to touch on. It's been a pleasure, as always. Keep it not your average, y'all.